So often in recent years, it's been a game billed as a title decider as both sides vied to be crowned Premier League champions. This time last season, Liverpool were top of the table, but of course it was City that took the honours come May. This time, however, things a little bit different. It's first versus fourth, with a 17-point gap between the Reds and Pep Guardiola's men, who are no doubt still hurting from that Champions League exit midweek to Madrid. On a slot side, however, a win can put them 11 points clear at the top. It is still one of the biggest games in world football, of course, and we've got all the build-up over the next hour as Manchester City welcome Liverpool and on a slot to the Etihad for the very first time. Live audio commentary coming your way at 4:30 right here on LFC TV this afternoon. Yeah, we've got plenty to come over the next hour or so. In the studio today, alongside myself, Jay Spearing and Phil Thompson are giving us their thoughts. Before we get started, though, let's get all the Liverpool team news first off from the Etihad this afternoon. Mark Benstead is there, and he's with Jan Molby as well.
Thank you, Becky. Well, as you've touched on, it's a slightly different backdrop going into this meeting between Liverpool and City. Normally, ahead of this match, it's first versus second or vice versa. Not quite that today, but still a huge match in terms of the title race. If Liverpool win today, I think it ends the debate about the result at Villa Park. It won't necessarily be a good point or 2 points dropped. It'll be a good week for the Reds overall if they can win this afternoon. It puts them in a commanding position in the race for that Premier League crown. In terms of the team news today, well, the good news is that Cody Gakpo is back fit and available. He takes his place amongst the subs as the manager makes just one change from the side that lined up down in the Midlands in midweek. That's his Luis Diaz come in the place of Diogo Jota, who drops to the bench. So Liverpool's team then in full is as follows. It's Alisson Becker in goal. He, of course, missed the meeting between these sides earlier in the season. Edison also didn't play that day either, as the two number twos started in goal. It looks like it'll be a back four of Trent Alexander-Arnold, Ibu Konate, Virgil van Dijk and Andy Robertson. Then we imagine Ryan Gravenberch and Alexis McAllister will hold in midfield. Then ahead of that, we imagine as well, it'll be Mo Salah off the right, Dominic Szoboszlai through the middle and Curtis Jones continuing wide left, which would allow Luis Diaz to play through the middle. But of course, time will tell on that. On the bench is Kevin Kelleher, the sub-goalkeeper, Wataru Endo, Darwin Núñez, Fede Chiesa, Cody Gakpo, Harvey Elliott, Diogo Jota, Kostas Tsimikas and Jarell Quansah. Well, Jan Molby is my guest here in Manchester today. Good afternoon, Jan. Good to see you. What do you make of the decision then and where people will operate this afternoon in terms of up top?
Yeah, I think it was pretty much like you said, in the starting 11, the positions they're going to have. Obviously, Luis Diaz is going to get that free number 9 role, roaming around, give the City defenders nothing to sort of mark, but have people roaming around, be elusive, use his ability to drop deep, pick up the ball, run at them with pace. So yeah, I've got a feeling that it'll work. It also gives you a certain amount of solidity when you don't have the ball, because you still have that fear when you play Manchester United. Often it can be about possession, so you need to have the ability to be able to get the ball back when you don't have it.
Is there a hope then that movement of Luis Diaz will ask questions of a City backline that has been unsettled at times this season? In fact, we saw it again in Europe in midweek.
I think it's been proven all season that City are vulnerable in transition, keep the ball on the move, keep people dropping off their players. They feel uncomfortable when they're on the move, when they're defending on the move, because they're not used to it. So yeah, I do think that roaming around, finding space, running at them from deep will cause them one or two problems.
We were sort of chatting about the fact that the bench on paper looks pretty impressive as well. Not always been the case in past seasons. Plenty to call on. Darwin Núñez is one of those options. What do you make of the way in which the manager has handled him since the disappointment at Villa Park?
Yeah, I mean, we can even go back to the Brentford game when he had a massive impact coming off the bench, and you think, is this the moment? But subsequently, he hasn't had a lot of starts. So that kind of gives you an idea of where he figures in the manager's plans. And I thought what the manager said after the game on Wednesday at Villa Park, it was a clear message that there's things that he's unhappy about, there's things that he continually needs to work on. Obviously, they work every day in training, but as of yet, Arne Slot has not seen the improvements that he wants from him.
Is he unlucky, though, in the fact that everything gets blown up about him for whatever reason since he's arrived? If he misses a chance, there's so much is made of it. Actually, kind of glosses over some of the massive contributions he has made. You mentioned Brentford, and that was a huge win in the context of where the season was at that point.
Yeah, and if you go back to the game on Wednesday, Villa Park, Mo Salah misses a header. It's not really mentioned because of his scoring record. You're used to him getting a chance, half a chance he puts in the back of the net. But obviously Darwin has a problem taking the majority of chances, hence the reason that when he does miss them, it's another one, isn't it? And the stats come out again about the amount of big chances he's missed and whatever. So yeah, it is a problem. I mean, the boy needs a run of games. He needs a run of games. Are we in position to give him that at the moment? Probably not.
Where are Liverpool at just now in terms of the form? Because some recent results, games from which they've dropped points, yes, but also the second longest unbeaten run in Premier League history. Yeah,
I mean, are we having a little bit of a wobble? I don't necessarily think we are. I still like the way that the Liverpool generally play. They're still pretty much in control of their games. Yes, the game at Goodison got a little bit out of control, was a bit hectic. But beyond that, I still think we're capable of being in control. We maybe don't have the same impact from our front men as we maybe did earlier in the season, because at the moment we are heavily reliant on Mo Salah, and obviously when Cody Gakpo plays as well. So maybe we're not as lethal up front as we have been, but I still like the way we play. I like the control that we have over games.
Great stuff, Jan. That is Liverpool's team. Then we'll bring you City's team in full a little bit later on, but the headlines for the hosts, well, it is placed on the bench for the likes of Bernardo Silva and Ruben Dias today, and no, I repeat, no Erling Haaland.
Yeah, that is big news in itself. No Erling Haaland for Manchester City against Liverpool this afternoon. We'll speak about City a little bit later on, but just from a Liverpool perspective, Phil, obviously a massive game, but it feels as well a massive statement opportunity for Liverpool, given what happened at the Emirates, of course, yesterday afternoon.
Yeah, it is. It's a great game. Listen, Arsenal, that can happen because of the forwards. They're going to have a few of those games now, but we're looking at this one going to Manchester. I can't believe how everybody's going. Liverpool win here, and Liverpool win here, and Liverpool win at Manchester. We're playing Manchester City, for goodness sake, who are still a great team, and we're going. It's not like a draw will be a good result. These are still that yardstick that we still have to do, because they've done it for four on the bounce. So that's where we're setting ourselves, is to compete with this lot. They are going to be up for it.
Yeah.
And I know they had a bad result in midweek. That, if you're a good team, that fires you up even more. Because people are saying to me in the last couple of days, oh, they're going to be down. But they're playing Liverpool.
Yeah.
It couldn't be a better game for them off the back of the Real Madrid game than playing Liverpool. So I think this has got the makings of a fantastic game of football. And we've got to be ready for it. And I think we will be. But make no mistakes, these are still a good side, and these are going to make it hard for us.
Yeah, I mean, we're talking like it's almost a foregone conclusion that Liverpool can go 11 points clear this afternoon. It is probably the most difficult game to be asking them to do that. We've seen the team arrivals there at the Etihad. I mean, listen, you've both been involved in title races. It's so important to capitalise when your opposition slip up.
Yeah, of course it is, and I totally agree with Phil. I think everybody's writing Manchester City off because they're having a little bit of a bad period. Okay, they had a bad result in the midweek, but they've got world-class players. You know, they've done it year on year. They've chased us. We've chased them for the last 4 or 5 seasons. Both teams have always been near the top. They're a fantastic outfit with a fantastic manager. Okay, they are having a little bit of a blip, but it's not a all-gone conclusion that we're going to walk all over them and get 3 points. Clearly, with the selection that maybe Pep is going to make with no Haaland, how is he going to change the lineup? Is he going to maybe go more in midfield? We'll wait and see how he goes about it. But I still think it's going to be a real difficult game for Liverpool. But Liverpool have to be on all 4 fronts. They have to be competitive. They have to be forward thinking. You know, they need to be at it from the back line of Ali all the way through to Diaz at the top. And it's going to be a difficult one, but one that we should be relishing as well.
Because remember the first game at Anfield? This was billed as a sort of 2 teams going head to head.
Yeah.
It was one of our best performances of the season. We rose to the occasion. They tried to rise above it, but we were all over them in all positions. And we made my bad memory of it was Kevin De Bruyne coming over towards Pep, and his arms were up like that. What's happening? What's going on? We can't. Yeah. They could get nothing going. We've got to give a similar performance. They are at home, which changes things, but we have to be up for this in all departments. The press has to be right against this team in all positions, not just the guys who started at the front, but the ones who are backing up, because if you don't, City will get through you.
Well, let's get your thoughts on the team itself. Maybe how people thought Arne Slot would play it, but up front I think people maybe thought Diogo Jota might get another start this afternoon. He is on the bench alongside Cody Gakpo. It'll be Luis Diaz, we think, through the middle, Curtis Jones on the left. Jay, what's your thoughts?
I think Curtis has probably give himself credit to play again. I think in midweek against Aston Villa, I thought he had a real solid performance out on the left. Probably not a normal position that you want to probably see Curtis Jones playing. I think he's more effective down the middle. But the way that Dom's playing, the way that Ryan's playing, the way that Alexis is playing, he doesn't seem to be able to find his way in there. But with obviously the Diaz one obviously being like a false nine as well, is that something that the managers looked at to maybe change a way of City to try and draw out the two centre-backs to create an overload in the middle of the park? I'm not too sure. But I think the selection for me I think it's the right one. I think if you look at Diogo Jota as well, I think he's coming back from injury. Can he go from a Wednesday to a Sunday game? The tempo of the game as well on Wednesday night was a high tempo game. This is going to be a high tempo game as well. So as the manager made the decision off the back of maybe fitness, and he might come on at some part of the game as well. But I think the team for me, I think it's a strong team going into it.
I'd like to see Diogo start. I know he missed a couple of chances, a header, and the one when he was through on goal, which obviously still had the keeper to beat, but was still a bad miss by all accounts for him. But I'd like to see him in there. He's a niggly sort of player. He gets into the two centre-backs. He's good in the air. I'm still not sure whether in this, if Cody was playing, I get it. Lucho down the middle, I get that. But for him to go down the middle and Curtis going on the left, I know we've done it the other day, but this is a different game altogether. So I'm a little bit surprised as where everybody's going to play.
What we do have, obviously, is on the bench really good quality options to change it. If it's not quite working out, you look at Núñez, obviously Jota and Gakpo as well. As there's plenty of options there for the boss, presumably in the second half if things aren't quite going the way we want them to.
Yeah, I also think that probably the managers showed a little bit of respect to Pep Guardiola. In his team selection, he knows that Manchester City are a good team. Maybe is Curtis in there and Diaz in there maybe for defensive reasons. We're not too sure. And stay in the game for as long as we can away from home. I'm not saying that City are going to dominate possession and create all these chances. I'm sure that Liverpool will, have part of the game where we will create things as well. But having them, the likes of Cody Gakpo, Jota, Núñez on the bench, even Chiesa, Harvey Elliott, I think there are options to maybe, if we are, still in the game, to maybe transition it and maybe start stretching the game a bit more, maybe towards the second half.
OK, thank you both. We're going to hear from Andy Robertson now. He spoke to us after the Aston Villa game. That was on Wednesday night, of course, and he knows despite City's dip in form this season, they'll still make Liverpool's trip to the Etihad today as tough as possible.
Yeah, still an incredibly tough place to go. Certainly since I've been here, our record there isn't great from my memories. Maybe a couple of draws and things like that. So it's always been a tough place for us. They've got some, fantastic players, and okay, they're maybe having a tough season, but they can still, I think they showed that last weekend against Newcastle. They can still steamroll teams and things like that. So we have to be at our best. That's the only way to do it. And if we are at the best, then we believe we can cause any team problems. But it's going to be difficult. Look, we need to get home first. We need to get to bed, recover, rest as much as we can, because, like I said, the schedule's been tough, but we'll be ready to go on Sunday. The whole squad has to be ready. The manager keeps on saying that. The lads on the bench have to be ready to make an impact. And like I said, once we get through the next two games and we've got a little break where we've not got a game in the weekend, and we just need to keep pushing through that. And then if we do, then let's see where we're at after that.
Will you take any significance psychologically from them going out of the Champions League tonight, that there could be a bit of a wounded animal to face?
Oh, look, I don't think so. I think when Man City play against Liverpool, it's always a big game for both teams. Like you says, over the years, it's been title deciders, or certainly they have huge respect for us, and we've got massive respect for them for what they've done over the last 7-8 years, and so it's always two kind of good teams going at it, and okay, they'll be hurting going out of the Champions League, but it's important that we just focus on us and try and be the best version of ourselves, and if we do that, then hopefully we can get the results that we need.
Just finally, to reflect on something you said in the build-up to this match, that it's hard, isn't it, winning a league title? At times teams can be so good that you make it look easy, but when you look to Everton last week, Villa, City, Newcastle next as well, that it is going to take a lot of hard work and a lot of quality to get what you all want.
Yeah, look, you always go through little periods of the season where you know, probably the fans look at the fixtures and go, that's, you know, tasty, and you know, the players do as well, and you know, we have to just go game by game. We can't look too far ahead or anything like that. So, you know, our full focus now is on Man City. But it's been a testing period of time. Of course, it has. Games getting rescheduled, games getting put in, things like that. And yeah, it's been tough games. Of course, it has. But you know, we have to play everyone twice anyway. And you know, like you says, winning a Premier League is never ever easy. And you know, we know that because we've only managed to win it once, and other times we've been close and things like that. But look, we're not really thinking like that just now. We just need to get through this period. We need to then, you know, be refreshed. But, you know, if you can't get up for these games, then, you know, I think today was a great game for, you know, the neutral, like it says, up and down, chances at both ends and things like that. And I think there was an element of freshness for us. Maybe we got tired last 10 minutes, maybe, but I think, you know, we put so much into the game, and it will be hopefully the same on Sunday. You know, we need the same energy, same intensity and same quality, and if we do that, then hopefully we can get 3 points, and then we'll rest, recover and go again.
Go and get some sleep. Thank you very much. Cheers, bye-bye.
Yeah, Andy Robertson speaking after Aston Villa in midweek. I mean, it is a relentless schedule at the moment, but is there that feeling that if you get through what is undoubtedly a tough period at the moment, you know, last Wednesday today, Wednesday night to come against Newcastle, you get through that with the cushion still intact and you can kind of start to look to the finish line?
Yeah, you can. You're getting there, and I think it's when you get down to single digits, you only got 9 to go. That's when you really, you know, there, and we're not far away. You know, this is huge. 12 to go. But after this, we've got 7 at home, and our record at home has always been very, very good. And 4 away. They're still going to be difficult, and there's still work to be done. But we have to be focused. We because we want to keep that confidence. We want to keep that continuity. We want to keep that feel-good factor. So you've got to perform all the time. But coming weekend, midweek, it is so hard, and you've got to go again. But what a great time.
Yeah, it is absolutely supporters. I mean, you love it. It's why you like football, isn't it? The roller coaster at the moment, Jay. But I think what he says there is very true. You know, it's impossible to almost go through a season being absolutely flawless. And if there are little blips along the way, it's just important to keep a really cool head in that time. Yeah,
I think that's something that, for me, Liverpool have done over the season. I think they've had incredible moments where we've controlled games and we've been like dominant and winning football matches. But I also think that we've shown a different side to us where if we're not playing well, we're not losing games. You know, we're collecting points, we're winning games even when we're not playing great. You know, we're finishing teams off, we're being clinical when we're going forward. Our performances haven't always been, you know, as well as probably the manager would have liked, or, you know, scintillating as, you know, attack after attack after attack. There's been moments where we've had to like drag out games and win games in different ways, and I think that's a different side of Liverpool this season that I've really enjoyed watching. Especially, you know, even if you look back to the derby, I don't think, you know, it really reminded me of an old school derby where it was just like fight, but that showed that Liverpool were willing to, you know, dig in deep and play a different type of football that was needed to get something from the game.
We've only lost 1 league game. And it says, remember before Christmas when they were going, there was a run of games, about 9 games. This is the defining time. We'll know whether this team... And I remember speaking to people, doing the Legends tours, and it's saying to people and stressing to them, if we get into it where Arne has a difficult time, has a blip, because they always do, we've got to give them the support, we've got to give them the backing, give this team the backing. And we got through that. Nobody even mentioned it. And honestly, nobody mentioned it. It's like it went, oh, well, hold on, we've got 3 games now at coming in the middle of February, 3 or 4 games, which is going to define our season. Yeah. We have done, and it's difficult. I've been there. People thought we, winning all our titles, it was great football every week. It wasn't. That's not how you win them. You've got to go through tough times. But as Jay just said, you've got to pick up the points. You've got to niggle away at other teams. And that's what we have done all season.
Well, speaking of tough times, I mean, Man City are having one hell of a tough time, aren't they, the whole season, really? Robbo was asked there, you know, is there that wounded animal element about them? Does that make them more dangerous? I mean, you only have to look at what happened when they were beaten at home by Madrid to then obviously go and demolish Newcastle a few days later. That they are capable of always putting on a performance when they need to. Yeah,
and they are, and you know, I think they'll probably look at Liverpool as a huge rival. You know, over the last couple of seasons, it's been pretty much us and them chasing for the title. So Liverpool and City have now become this big rivalry where the games have always been, you know, epic. And I'm hoping I'm not jinxing the game today. They've always had goals in them, and there's not been many 0-0s or like non-goal scores in these types of games. But they've got world-class players. You can't take that away from City. They've got game changers. You know, they've got players that can affect games in a moment, that can flip the game on its head. And Liverpool have to be aware of that, and you have to respect that. But they also have to respect us, because we've gone now. I think the manager said in one of his press conferences, it's 22 games unbeaten. Yeah. You know, they have to respect us as well, and we have to go there full of confidence, which I'm sure we will. But we have to set our stall, but also be wary that they are world-class players as well.
There's almost got to be a bit of muscle memory in this fixture for City, in the way that it has meant so much in recent seasons, that surely once they step out there today, it might not be the title on the line this afternoon, but still, as Jay says, they will give it their all.
But it's called respect. And we have that for each other. Jurgen had it for Pep. The two teams had it. You could see it in after every game that we played. It was really high level performances. It was proper Champions League performances. Every time we played, that is the respect that we have for each other. I like the way Manchester City play. We are playing now the way Manchester City did 2 years ago, when they were playing and they could keep the ball, they had match winners, they could do all that. That is the way we're controlling games. And that's why City today look at this game and they're going to be fired up. I can bet you those texts from Mikel Arteta have been flying round. Those ones at Man City who are still there, you can bet your life, because we know we've been there. Had you mates, okay, we didn't have text or anything back then.
How did you do it?
But there was phone calls. And it was, come on, do us a favour.
I'm sorry, that was too far. Did you not have a big brick mobile phone? Surely you did.
No, it was teletext. It was, but it was, no, you spoke to each other. You got together with England, and it was, oh, come on, you've got to do it for us. You've got to
do us a favour.
And that's the way it is. Mikel Arteta, he knows most of that City squad, and he'll be doing. You can't tell me, but he's not sent a message to Pep. Come on, mate, do us a favour, especially after what happened yesterday. And this is the lovely thing about our game. It happens. We've got to deal with it. We've got to go on with it. We have to perform.
Yeah, well, there's no Erling Haaland. You just saw the Man City arrivals there. No Erling Haaland emerging off the City coach. He is not in the Manchester City squad today. On the flip side, of course, Liverpool have Mo Salah, Jay, who has an incredible record in this fixture. I think we can show you his goal involvements against Manchester City over the years. He's been involved in more Premier League goals against City during the Pep Guardiola era than any other player. Scored against City in 8 of the last 12 meetings. Could reach another milestone this afternoon as well. Next goal will see him reach 30 for the season in all competitions. I mean, to consistently perform against a team, Phil, packed with obviously some of the most quality players in the Premier League, says everything about Mo Salah, really.
When you're a top player and the big stage awaits you, you want to turn up. When the world is watching, you want to play to the best you can and show your abilities. And Mo's done it time and time again. That's why people often think every player has got to be up for every single game, every time they turn out. It doesn't happen like that. And I know, because we've been there, and there's certain games where you've got to sort of drag yourself up and motivate you and everything. There's certain games which, when they come along, the Man United games, the Derby games, this Man City game has become that. You are up for it. And Mo Salah, he turns up. So when you're a top player and you turn up, that's where those sorts of statistics happen.
Yeah, he's a big game player. He's an every game player, I suppose, Mo Salah, isn't he? But it's not just the goals, it's the assists as well. 20 for the season now. There's a really interesting interview with Mo Salah on the Liverpool website this weekend, but just an excerpt from this where he's talking about having to adapt his game. And he says in the past, essentially, I just used to know my game. My teammates needed to adapt to me. Now, if you want to improve yourself as a player, you've got to adapt to their game as well. He says, I study their games. I watch them when they train, when they play. I then go home and watch them at home as well. I need to adapt my game to their game. So he's evolving the way that he thinks about the game and the way that he plays.
For me, I generally didn't think there was a way for him to evolve anymore, because, you know, he's been absolutely incredible for me. The stats year on year, I remember people years ago saying, oh, is he going to be a one-hit wonder? And he's continuously done it year on year, 20 odd goals, you know, the assists. For me, it shows the level of the player that he is. Am I surprised by it? Probably not, because, you know, you listen, you speak to people like Jordan Henderson, you speak to people like Trent, and they say that he's the one who built culture at the club. You know, stuff about going in the gym, working hard, doing extras, recovery. So there's no surprise that he's now evolving his game and making sure that he can adapt and help others. To me, he's a leader. Even though he hasn't got the captain's armband, you know, there's them players that don't need the captain's armband to be a leader on the pitch.
I'll say in the same interview, he speaks about how after the Villa game, it was him and Virgil who came in first the next day, and they were sat there both speaking about what they felt they could improve on. And as Jay says, he's kind of moved into that kind of level in the team as well. Now, obviously part of the leadership group.
It's called experience and age. And as you get that little bit older, and maybe the legs are not quite the same. I'm not saying that Mo's have changed, but as you get older, you've got to adapt. And if you stay the way you are, game catches up with you and goes past you very, very quickly. Yeah. So Mo's looking at it, and it's lovely to hear that from an experienced player. And it's for those young ones who want to sort of try and elevate themselves to anywhere near playing regular as Mo does in the first team. But once you get all over 30, you have to look. And when you're a bit younger, you felt invincible. You felt you could do everything. But when you get that little bit older, you need your teammates that little bit more. And you want them around you. You want to know the strengths and weaknesses of everybody for you to prolong your career. That's what we're seeing with Mo now. So it's a fascinating interview to listen to a player at the top level. What you need to do to stay there. And I think that is just lovely to know that he cares that much.
Yeah, it is indeed. That full interview on the Liverpool website right now. It is time for us now to say goodbye to our viewers watching us on our social channels. If you do want to stay with us, though, head to liverpoolfc.com/watch for more details. After this break, we're going to hear from Arne Slot in his pre-match press conference at 4:30. Steve Hunter and Phil Thompson bringing you live audio commentary of the game. We are back at 6:30 with all the reaction to Liverpool's trip to the Etihad. And if you missed any of the post-match show, you can catch up with it on the Reaction podcast. That will be available for download a little bit later on tonight. Then from midnight, there's the chance to see the whole 90 minutes of today's game in the full match replay on LFC TV, and then tomorrow an exclusive look behind the scenes available in our latest episode of Inside. That will be dropping on YouTube and Facebook as well. Well, as we say, no player has scored more goals in Premier League meetings between the teams than Mohamed Salah. Liverpool looking to their main man this afternoon as they continue this fascinating title charge. Their old foes, Man City, standing in the way. We'll look in more detail at them after the break.
Minutes will be added on. More than enough time. Harvey Elliott!